Hello class, I apologize for the coarseness of this video and for the background noise, but it is the best that I can do right now. The topic of my paper will be Christian sexuality, idealism versus realism. Idealism is the attitude of a person who believes that it is possible to live according to very high standards of behavior and honesty. And realism is an awareness or acceptance of the physical universe, events, and etc. as they are, as opposed to the abstract or ideal awareness or acceptance of the facts and necessities of life, a practical rather than a moral or dogmatic view of things. This is the hypothesis. All of these slides aren't going to be exactly what's going to be represented in my paper. I'm trying to come up with some better verbiage than for this hypothesis, but this is just what I was able to come up with for now. But it doesn't really exactly portray what I'm trying to say. The Christian ideal of sexuality is not realistic nor applicable to today's society or culture. But I don't know that that's necessarily what I'm trying to say, because it is applicable, but I don't believe that it's realistic. The history of Christian sexuality is that healthy sexuality is only acceptable within the context of holy matrimony with one man and one woman. Although it hasn't always been the history of the Christian church that it's between one man and one woman, because it's been between one man and several women in the past. Christian sexuality is often filled with words like abstinence, chastity, purity, and holiness, and devoid of words like pleasure and desire, lust, passion, and instinct. And the current status is much like the hypothesis. Again, my verbiage isn't exactly what I want it to be, but Christianity's ideal of sexuality is unattainable because, as a fallen race, we all fall short and are incapable of attaining God's perfect plan and design for our sexuality. And I don't know that we can really fully understand what His perfect plan is, because we are fallen. In talking about the bio, psycho, and social aspects of sexuality, I will talk about, under the bio, gender, arousal, response, and pheromones all go under the biological part. The psycho part is attachment, different disorders, our sexual identity, fantasies, fetishes, stuff like that. And social aspects of sexuality is our culture, our environment, how we communicate, our relationship, and all the subcategories of that. And then the spiritual aspect of Christian sexuality is mostly to abstain, and if you don't, you are sinning, in which you need to repent and then refrain from any sexual immoral acts or thoughts. And then in my paper I will have some personal insights and experiences, what my ideas are about Christian sexuality and what I believe to be realistic sexuality, and how I think that it needs to maybe have a little bit of adaptation to apply to today's culture. So the big so what that I want to take away from my paper and presentation is the need for adaptability in the Christian view of sexuality, or what healthy sexuality is. Words like growth and change and adaptability are not bad words. We need to prayerfully consider what our beliefs are about Christian sexuality and why we feel that way and why we believe the things we do. Is it truly what God has put on our heart, or what we know to be truth, or is it what we've been told to believe, or what we've told is the truth? The references that I have is, of course, Kay Arthur. I'll be drawing from her book. And then this article is really awesome. You should all write it down and look it up. Love, Lust, and Sex, A Christian Perspective by John Berthrong. It is a very good article. It's kind of long and kind of hard to understand in certain parts, so you got to reread it, but it is really, this is the biggest paper that I'm drawing from, the biggest article, because he talks about different rubrics and stuff to apply to a Christian view of human sexuality. And then, of course, Carol's book. I know a lot of you have a problem with this book. I actually enjoy this book, and I enjoy the secular perspective, and I think it's important that we have that. And then another article is Intimacy, Sexual Desire, and Differentiation in Couplehood, a theoretical and methodological review. This one's pretty good too. Lust, Attraction, Attachment, Biology, and Evolution of the Three Primary Emotion Systems of Mating, Reproduction, and Parenting. This one gives me some insight on what intimacy and libido and lust and all that stuff is. And then How Love and Lust Influence Self-Control. This is a pretty good article too. It has a lot of good stuff. Once it gets up into the experiment part of it, it gets a little dry, but also a good article. And then, of course, Real Sex by Laureen Winner. All right, class. Sorry for the poor presentation, but it's what I can only do right now in the laundromat in Laramie, Wyoming.